glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Our intention tonight is to give you all the information you need for this exciting season in your family. Are you feeling excited? Are there any other emotions in your house these days? Any stress? No. Any nagging? No. Any avoidance? A little bit. Okay. Well, we're here to help. We want to tonight go over the process for you all so you understand the application season and all that it entails. And we also want to make sure that you're familiar with all of the resources available to you online, through the school, all of your contact people, so that you can best navigate this process for your family. And I want to start with the really fun stuff, because that's what Jen does. So she'll go over graduation and yearbooks.
The fun stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so in case you guys didn't hear, for one night only, just for senior parents, anybody else who goes in on the website, yearbooks are $30 only just tonight. So if you go to jocelyns.com when you get home, you can get a yearbook for everybody in your family. Honestly, the website doesn't distinguish, they don't know. So you can go in. Yearbooks are $30, price goes up to $35 at midnight, and that'll be the price for a while, and then it'll go up and up and up. So get your yearbooks tonight because $30 is nice.
Yeah.
All right, that's the first thing. Second thing, caps and gowns and all graduation expenses are covered under your student activities fee. And the reason it's important for you to know that now is because in a couple of weeks, your kids will bring home a packet about graduation announcements. And for some reason, on the graduation announcement order form, we can't get it off because it's a stock thing from the company. It will say, order your cap and gown. Don't order your cap and gown. Don't let it stress you out. Don't worry about sizes. We've got it. We will handle sizing and all that stuff here at school. And sizing is really easy. It's based on their height. So it's not that hard a thing, but we'll take care of it. So if your kids say, no, we need to know our size, it doesn't matter. You don't need to do that. So that said, on September 20th at lunchtime, they will have a meeting with the Jocelyns rep, and he'll explain graduation announcements. That's formal graduation announcements. Nobody's bound to buy graduation announcements through the school, but they're nice, and they're like kind of the formal kind with the double envelopes, and they have the crest and all that stuff. So if you want them, the order period is actually pretty short through school, but we heard from kids that they would prefer to bring the packet home than for you guys to take them home at tonight's meeting, and that's why we're doing it this way. So they'll be involved in it, and maybe they'll want to order them. And then let's see, finally, also yearbooks, senior ads in the yearbook. We don't, if you guys don't know, we have like these senior recognition ads in the back of the yearbook, and we sell one size only, so you don't have to, there's not like these giant full-page ads that some people buy and these little tiny eighth-of-a-page ads that other parents buy. They're all quarter-page ads. They're $80, and I'll send home information to you about that relatively soon, but it's something you create online. It's kind of like making a card on Snapfish or Shutterfly. It's very simple. You upload pictures, you put in your words, and they give you a bunch of templates, and you do it. And if you have a hard time with it, I will happily help you do it, and I'll have some help sessions as the deadline gets closer, which is sometime probably in January. So it's not something you need to know about right this second, but it'll pop up soon. And finally, senior pictures. Your kids had their senior pictures taken at school. This is like the best year we've ever had. Almost every single kid, except for one, had their formal pictures taken. I don't know what the numbers on casual pictures are, but as far as casual pictures go, we asked all seniors to have a casual picture taken with our photographer, but you are more than welcome to submit them. They need to be portrait orientation. I will send out information regarding a deadline as well for that, but the reason we asked them to all do it with the photographer, that way if you don't send me one, I have one. So it's a win-win for both of us. Free picture, and if you like it, you get it. If not, I still have one. So I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Yes? Oh, you can view them right now at stjohnphotography.com. Look for our school name, and then enter the code CSDC, I think. Okay, and then you can do it. And one thing I would say is you definitely want to pick your yearbook poses for both. And if you send me a casual, the casual is the one I will use. But you do want to, just pick both of them. And even if you choose not to order, you can still pick your poses for both. And there's a place on the website when you're ordering your pictures where you can put in all of your requests for retouching and stuff like that. And they're really good. Like, somebody had a turned up collar last year and they fixed it. So they didn't have to retake the picture. So they're very good at what they do as far as retouching and stuff like that goes. Any other questions? Yes?
And the casual one is the one that goes in the yearbook?
They both go in the yearbook. I put, usually we put the casual is bigger, and then a little inset has the formal one next to it.
So do you still want us to pick a casual one if they resend you a different one?
If you're going to send me one and you know you're absolutely going to, yes. But otherwise, if you don't, they're going to still send me a casual. And so if I don't have one from you and you don't like the one they chose, that's still the one that'll get you. So you might want to choose it. Yes?
Did you address whether or not if we use another photographer outside?
You are more than welcome to send a casual picture from another photographer. It needs to be portrait orientation because that's the size of the box. And good resolution, strong resolution. Anything else?
Jen,
Yes?
do they do basic retouching?
Yes, I don't know if you need to, honestly don't know if you need to bring something up, but if you if you say, can you, just put in the box, do you do basic retouching for acne or something like that, then they can do that. Just let them know that, just in case. I'm pretty sure they do, because I don't remember putting anything on there.
Yeah, I just ordered them and I didn't put anything. So
Yeah, I don't remember.
They do basic retouching, but there was nothing.
They have a section that is basic retouching.
Okay.
And then face swapping, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, face swapping sounds gross to me. So. I know that like with my son's last year that I don't remember asking for them to retouch, but his face looked really clear. So, but no, look good, look right. Anything else?
That was a lot of questions. All right, great. I want to make sure we all get introduced because there's some familiar faces and maybe some less familiar faces up here. Anne Marie, Anne Marie McAfee is back there. I'm sure you all know her. And Jessica Smith right here are our full-time college counselors. So they're here every day. And they do most everything, and then some. Andrea Reeves and my name's Cindy Turner, we help out on Fridays with the senior seminar, and then just different emails and questions that come up to help support. And then Jen helps with our communications, our blog, and all sorts of wonderful things that she does. So that's our team. Okay, here we go. The class of 2017, whoa, if you felt like it was a weird year, it was. Lots and lots and lots of things changed this year. For example, 10-point grading scale, we like that. The new SAT, so people took it a lot more. New ACT essay, the new coalition application, which some students are using. Now the teacher recommendation process, which we'll go over later. And then the FAFSA changes are huge. How many of you have older siblings in college? Okay, so please pay attention about the financial aid changes this year. They're massive. So we are excited for this time in your lives. We're also excited for the class of 2017 to graduate. So hopefully all these changes will stop because it's been a crazy, crazy year. I do want to point out a couple resources for you all. We have a Next Steps blog with lots of articles on there and resources, things like fall open houses at different campuses, websites, dates, deadlines, everything you need to know is in there. It's nextstepscsd.wordpress.com. We also have a CSD Counseling Facebook page, Twitter, and of course, the Crier, so you can get in touch with us. All right, I'm doing a little myth busting here. So if you hear your seniors say any of these things, you can tell them they are incorrect. Here we go. First one, colleges only look at 9th through 11th grade grades, right? No, they do look at senior grades. We tell students this in seminar. They hear it a lot, but sometimes they know transcripts have already been sent off to colleges, they've already been accepted, and they can kind of chill out in the spring. So please help us remind them that 12th grade grades do matter. And if colleges that have accepted students see a big change, at the end of the year, they can and will rescind their offer of admission. So we do not want that to happen at all. They need to keep up their grades. The second one, senior seminar is optional. That's a myth that we would like to bust. It is not optional. It's a graduation requirement, and it's a great class, right, Andrea? It's fun. I encourage all of the senior parents to go on Schoology and look at the senior seminar syllabus, where we outline everything we do in there. It is not study hall. It is not optional. It is not a class to leave. It's very, very important. So please encourage students to do that. We have got a couple things. Some students finish college applications earlier in the year, or they're doing something else that may not involve college applications. So while most of our time in seminar in the fall is dedicated to applications and the logistics around that, we do have some alternate assignments. So I have our alternate assignment packet up here. It's full of great things, resumes and career exploration activities, all sorts of things to help students prepare for their next steps after 12th grade, no matter what that looks like. So I'll leave it up here if you want to look through it. So that is senior seminar, important and hopefully time well spent for them. As we transition into the spring, we'll do a lot with financial literacy. We'll teach them about credit scores and debt and credit cards and budgets and all these things. So hopefully this will be a good time for them before they graduate. Spending the SAT, ACT book bonfire was fun this summer. A lot of students would like to be done. They think they have to be done with testing, but they really can still test. If they don't like their scores, there's this Saturday, of course, is the ACT, SAT, and then there's more dates in November. Excuse me. So if you have questions about that, we'll go over that more on the next slide with all the dates. Spending the night with a friend would give me a better sense of the school than the senior open house. Have you heard this one? I don't need to go on a tour. I'll just stay with my friend and we'll go to a game. That can be a good way to experience the college, but we do encourage you to do those official programs to get a better sense, hear more about academics, hear about different programs, and of course demonstrate interest in that college. So I'm supposed to apply to college now. Some seniors showed up this year ready to go. Actually, a lot of them did. And some seniors just looked like deer in the headlights. Wait, what? This is now? So everyone's in a bit of a different place. A lot of seniors do apply in the fall. We'll work with students individually to determine their best timeline. But it is time to go. October 15th is around the corner, and that's some of the first deadlines coming up. Someone write my essay for me. A lot of students struggle with the essay the most of this whole process. So we want to remind you this has to be their work. They shouldn't be getting too much help from anyone or any resources online. Wink, wink. Optional means I don't have to do it, right? No. Optional means this is an opportunity for you to share more of yourself with the college. So we do encourage students to complete those sections of the applications. Wait, I need to request what in Naviance? We'll go over Naviance quite a bit, but Naviance serves two big functions: requesting the transcript and requesting the teacher recommendations. We can't send either of those without requests in Naviance. And we tell students this all the time, but you can reiterate that at home. We can worry about the price tag later. Parents are often guilty of this, kind of, well, let's just see where they get in, and we'll work it out later. I've sat with many heartbroken seniors who realize after they get in the school they love, it's just not a good financial option for their family. So be having those conversations with your students now. I encourage you to use the net price calculators. They're on each school's website. A good one is College Abacus, abacus.com, where you can do 3 net price calculators at one time. So that saves you a bit of work. But I'm start understanding that financial picture before you let your student apply to the $60,000 and $70,000 a year schools, if that's indeed not what you're planning to spend. And do we need our laptops today? That's our favorite from seminar. Every single Friday in seminar, they will always need laptops, and we will always go on Naviance. And every single Friday in seminar, about a quarter of students don't have laptops and look a little confused and try to do things on their phone, and it's fun. But please remind them they do need their laptops in seminar. So those are some of our favorite myths of seniors. I'm sure you can add some more. All right. And Jessica is going to walk us through the testing process this fall.
Yes, so one of the changes that Cindy was talking about is the changing in testing. So some of you may be carrying over some of your testing a little bit into this fall. So there are still some dates out there that seniors can do and still get in time for any of those early action deadlines. Obviously the ACT this Saturday. The October 1st, SAT is another one that if students are hoping to get one more test under their belt before the early action, October 15th, November 1st deadlines, that one will still count for their schools. You'll just need to send those scores directly to that school. I know typically you've been telling students, wait, have them go to you first before you send them to the colleges. But this one, since it's that kind of icing on the cake testing session, this will be, if they're any better, they'll have those scores. This one you'll want to send directly to those schools, so that way they'll have it in time to consider it for those early action deadlines. And once again, like everything else we say, we can very much work one-on-one with your students and you as parents to really figure out which is the best test to take, which is the best test to send, especially with this transitional year where some students will have ACT, some will have the old SAT, some will have the new SAT. Just in the past week, we've been to a couple different college presentations, and some colleges are saying they're going to do one big concordance chart. Some schools are saying they're not going to concord anything. We're also making concord a verb now. Some schools are saying that they're going to do, all the old scores to new scores. So we can definitely work one-on-one to help you kind of navigate all of that as well. For students that are thinking more of the January, February regular decision deadlines, you have a couple more opportunities to test as well. And so that just kind of want to throw all those dates out there to you so that you know that you still have some time left to test if you're still looking to take a few more tests.
They don't have to wait to send their applications in.
Yeah, so if you're applying to the early action, that November 15th, November 1st, go ahead and send your applications in, and there'll be a place on there where you can indicate the test you've taken and the upcoming tests you have. So you don't have to wait until you've taken that test or have your scores back to be able to submit your application. You can go ahead and submit your application and just indicate that you have that pending test, and then you'll have those scores sent directly to the school. When you sign up to take that test, go ahead and put in that school's information. On the plus side, it's free at that side to have the scores sent to your school, because they'll give you, 3, 4, where you can send them for free when you sign up for that test. So that's the one freebie in all of this. All right, so just a few other reminders about sending scores. We get this question every year. Oh, well, I thought you were going to send my test scores for me. We send transcripts, we send teacher recommendations, you guys send test scores. So students will need to log on to either ACT or College Board, depending on which test they want to send, and get those scores sent off. If you are sending the one ACT score that you've taken here at school in March, and you haven't done anything with ACT since that, you're going to need your ACT student ID number that was on the results paper that you got back in the spring. If you don't have that anymore or can't get your hands on it, don't worry. Miss Anne Marie and I have copies of that. So just give us at least like a day or two lead time in case we're off campus for a meeting or something. And we're happy to get that number for you, so that way you can get into your ACT account and be able to send those scores off. I think that's about all of those. AP scores, you don't need to worry about sending off any of your AP scores until after you're accepted. If you're in a situation where you feel like your AP scores are really going to benefit your application, then just come check in with us and we can talk you through that. But for the most part, you just send those courses as a follow-up to get credit for those courses. Very few schools will require those on the front end. So just ask us if you're in question of that. All right. If you thought your visiting days were over, they don't have to be. You can still get out there and still go visit schools. Some students even submit applications before they visited a school. That October 15th, November 1st, November 15th deadline, that comes up pretty quick when you're in the fall of your senior year and have a lot of other things going on. So maybe you don't get a chance to go see a school before you hit submit on the application. Students can do virtual tours, they can talk to friends that have visited those schools before, they can attend the info sessions when college reps come here to help them get enough of a sense as to whether or not it's worth the time on the application and the application fee But you can definitely still go visit schools in this fall to kind of help decide where their hearts are leading them. Also go back and take a second look. Sometimes it's, if you visited a school a couple years ago and it's still kind of lingering in there, but you're not quite sure how you feel about it, go back and take a second look at it. Also in the spring, a lot of schools will have special tours for admitted students that are still trying to make their decisions. So some of those will be overnight. They'll have overnight stays or have you go to classes for the day. So if you're looking for those kind of tours, those typically happen more during the spring once those acceptances have gone out for students.
And open houses are a little different than your normal college visit in that, pretty much all hands are on deck when you go to that school. So you can actually get a taste of what's like in the department, so you can go around and visit the individual colleges or individual departments, and professors are usually there for you to ask questions and maybe do mini presentations. And you don't really get that when you go, unless you ask for it specifically when you go on a normal tour. So we highly recommend those for senior year. And a lot of those are happening now, like October the 15th and September and October and November. So just go on the website and look at those.
As I mentioned, another great way to get to know colleges and help colleges get to know you is taking advantage of the rep visits we have. I know it's kind of blurry and kind of small, but just we wanted to give you an idea of how many schools we already have scheduled to come on campus to meet with our students. And all of these schools have reached out to us because of the relationships that we've formed with them over the past couple of years, or the students that they're seeing that come to their campus and do visits there. They've all reached out to us to schedule these visits to come see our students and get to know us even better. So that's pretty awesome. Students can go on to Naviance and sign up for these visits. We try to do them during lunch, so that way you guys don't have to miss any classes. But sometimes a rep can't come during lunch. We don't want to miss out on having them be on campus. And so some are during class periods, but students really need to check with their teachers before missing class for that. But we do try to make most of them during lunch, so that way it's not a big burden on your class schedule. For schools that care about demonstrated interest, and all you seniors should know by now what that term means. So a school cares that you care about them and are putting the time into going to visit them or coming to these info sessions, and that it's going to be something they factor into their decision. You definitely, if they're going to be on our campus, you want to make sure you attend that meeting. If you have another student government meeting or something else going on that day, pop in on the front end or the back end, introduce yourself and make sure that they know you were there. So that way you get that box checked off. And remember that common data set that we've been showing you guys for years. That's a great place to find out if the school takes that into consideration. All right, Anne-Marie.
Yes, they all know how much I love him. Being facetious. So, so college application deadlines, those are looming, those are right around the corner. Our first deadlines are coming up October 15th. We do have a few rolling admissions, which means that if you do have a college and it does say on the website that's rolling, it means that you can pretty much apply, apply all the way up to, maybe March or May. And once you get all of your materials in, your transcripts and recommendations, test scores, they pretty much make a decision maybe within 2 to 3 weeks, and that's a really nice thing for some of our students. So we have several different kinds of application deadlines, and these get really confusing. Early decision. We may have a small handful of students who might apply early decision in each graduating class for various reasons. And but this is the one that gets confused with early action. This is the one that is binding. So if you have, and not all schools have an early decision deadline. So if you apply early decision, this means that if you get accepted, if you apply early and they offer you a spot on their campus, then you have to withdraw your other applications and you are committed to attend there. And what that requires is that requires a parent permission, because it's a big deal. It requires a form where parents sign off on it so they know what the commitment is. And it also requires a signature from your school counselor. So we can help you monitor that and make sure that you're doing everything that you agreed that you would do to honor that. Early action is non-binding. So that's usually just you apply earlier and you get to hear earlier. And we encourage most of our students to do this. You know, a lot of our scholarships and merit money tie into that early action deadline. So to be considered for some of the merit money, you want to make sure that you're applying to that first deadline. So the first deadline that they pull up, sometimes it's October 15th, it could be November 1st, November 15th, whatever deadline that would be early action. You can apply to as many schools as you want to with early action. With early decision, most of those schools don't want you applying early action. They want you to apply you can apply regular decision, but they really want you to commit to that one school. Regular decision are usually later. The deadline's usually later around January and February. So some people usually, you may have some schools that maybe they're not high on your list, but they're still on your list. So you're just going to get those the ones that are high on your list. You apply for those earlier, and then you may decide wait till later when you hear back from some of those other schools whether or not you want to apply to those. Rolling, we talked about rolling. Does anybody have questions about that? Because that could be really tricky and confusing. What questions do you have?
On early decision, there is kind of a caveat on financial aid. Is that true?
It could be. Your signal, you were giving them the signal that you really are not you may or may not require a whole lot of financial aid.
Okay.
So, yeah, and so, in other words, now what you can do is you can ask for a estimate. So, you can talk to the financial aid department and they can give you an estimate on what it would cost.
Okay.
So you can do that. Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're on that same note. Let's say you don't apply early decision, but they don't offer early action.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still eligible for merit money with state?
If they don't apply, if they don't have an early action but only have regular decision.
Early decision,
Mm-hmm.
no early action, or
Then usually they have what you call a priority deadline, a priority scholarship deadline. So what you want to be doing is looking on the admissions page of all your colleges, but students also want to be looking at the scholarship financial aid tab, because you can have different deadlines for those too. So I would look for, if you think you're interested in wanting to make sure that you meet those scholarship, that you're being considered for everything that you could be considered for, look for those priority scholarship deadlines. And usually it's on the admissions page. It's pretty clear on the admissions page. But if you have any questions, just see one of us about it. Anything to add to that, ladies? Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Did you say that if you're going to apply early decision that you can't apply early action somewhere else?
Some schools do not want you to apply early action other places. You can apply regular decision, but not early action other places. Or they may want you to withdraw your applications. What you can apply, or you can withdraw your applications in. It just depends on what their requirements are. Some schools are really different in what they'll let you do.
How do you know if it applies somewhere else?
They see each other and talk to each other all the time, so they will. Yeah.
The early decision one will ruffle feathers really quick. Colleges rescind offers of acceptance if you try to apply against the contract that you signed for that, for sure. And they do share information about early decision applications.
Mm-hmm. And it just makes the school look bad too. I mean, because we're signing off on that we've educated you and know what the commitments are as well. So it just doesn't represent the school very well either. So college application week. There are a few colleges, North Carolina colleges, that are on the CFNC website. That I know this deadline is a little tricky because it's a little late, 14/18. It's nice because it's after that November 1st deadline. So, but if you have a few colleges that you've been thinking about, some North Carolina colleges, I think Davidson College was one of them on the list. But there are a few of them that will waive the application fee for this week. And I know the counselors can, sometimes we'll sit out in learning labs and help some of the students kind of, whip through some really quick applications for that week. So you can get an idea of the North Carolina schools that are on that list. It's a good way to save money. These add up. Okay, have y'all looked at the college application fee waivers? We really try to tell students to help parents pace it because it's, it can be anywhere from, $40 to $90 a pop for an application to apply for college. So, students, that's why we always say, really do your research, really do your homework, because 6 to 8 is a good number. You start getting more than that. It really adds up after a while. So with college applications, some important things to know about. The websites that your students are familiar with now are, of course, CFNC, App State. If your student's applying to App State, they will have to log on to CFNC to create an account. It's kind of a seamless process, but they can tell that they're logging into CFNC to do that. Common App, that's the big one that students hear about. If you use the Common App, we really try to encourage students to use it whenever possible. Schools will give you a choice, and there's certain reasons why you might want to do one versus the other. Maybe they have different essay prompts. But when you can, it's nice to use the Common App, because even though you might not have a school on your only one school on your Common App list, you might add one later on at the last minute. It's nice to just have that application done. And then, of course, you really want to start with the college itself, the school itself, the institution itself. You really want to start on their website where it says apply, and it'll give you, make sure that students, you are looking at that website and making sure that you know what all the requirements are, how many recommendations. If you have any questions about how many recommendations, if you need a counselor recommendation, not all schools require them. That is where you need your go-to place, is the website, the college website. The application forms, a lot of these questions on like the Common App. I know we had a boot camp early in the summer, and I've been working with students in my office, and they'll, sorry parents, but they'll be texting you, I know when you're at work, going, what's the full name of your company, or what year did you graduate from college, and so they'll be asking you some of those questions, and they will need some help to answer some of those. And it's really important. For instance, one of the questions on the app, one of the questions on the applications will be, what is the highest education that your parent 1 and parent 2 has received? And it's really important, because for some schools, if your parents started college, maybe took 1, 2, even 3 years and didn't finish, you could be considered a first-generation student and may qualify for some scholarships. So you could be useful for alumni information, alumni scholarships. So make sure that you guys are looking at that really, really carefully. We talked about the fees, the average fees. If you qualify, again, this all adds up after a while. And if you feel like you qualify for a fee waiver, please contact Jessica or myself, and we'll be happy to provide that. If your student used a fee waiver for the SAT or the ACT and requested one from the counseling office, you can get up to 4 fee waivers with the SAT and ACT. And so I can kind of talk you through about how to access that and how to use that if you contact one of us. Supporting documents. Jessica, Ms. Smith already said that test scores. Who's responsible for that? You guys are, right. But we can absolutely help give some ideas or some guidance on which ones to send, especially this year when it's so tricky. Transcripts. That's a trick question. Okay, students have to request that, but I will tell you there are some colleges now. Can you guys name some of them? USC, South Carolina, right? right? NC State. Some schools now are requiring you to upload, students to upload the transcripts. So we just sent home, what? Transcripts, right. We just sent those home. So every parent should have gotten them last week. A transcript from your English, they distributed them through the English classes. And we wanted to give parents and students an opportunity to look over those together, just for any corrections or any questions that you may have on that, before we start sending those off to colleges, because we want you to sign off on it, that everything looks correct. And then once we get those back from you, we're going to make any corrections on there that you may see. And then we're going to upload it into Naviance, so it'll go under the Documents tab. So that way your student can have a hard copy of it and they can upload it or use it for scholarships or use it for anything else they may need. And that's what we call an unofficial transcript. To be official, it has to come from the school, directly from us, which we'll send through Naviance and it's sealed. And if you're some schools require you to seal them and stamp them, depending on if you mail them. But that's what it means to be official. So it's a little tricky. So you'll have to pay attention to whether or not that the colleges require you to upload your transcripts. Any questions about applications? Questions? Good. So we basically talked about Naviance. Students are using that to request transcripts, to request teacher recs, and they can track the status of both of them. And then there's also a place where they report their final decision. That's really important. So later on in the year, when you start making decisions, we're going to teach you in seminar how to show where you've made that decision. It's really important that you do that, because that's where we will send your final transcripts at the end of the year. So you won't have to request them anymore. We automatically send those out at the end of the year once you mark, I am attending this school in Naviance. And that should be probably later on in the year for most of you, after you've looked at your financial aid packages and everything. The teacher recommendations, I don't know if you're hearing some whispers about that at home, but the portal on that has changed a little bit with Naviance this year, and they're upgrading our system where they're hoping to make it more usable for the students, so the students can have some choices on where they want their recommendation, which schools they want their recommendations to go. So they just it was supposed to be released in August. Now it's September. So they're trying to iron out some kinks with that. So students will have to kind of bear with us for the next couple of weeks until Naviance gets set up and running again. But we did ask students to send teacher recommendation requests, email them before the summer was out last year. So all of the teachers should have by now an email at least, so they have a running list of the recommendations they're working on. Eventually, probably next week or so, we're going to ask students to request those again in Naviance, because we can't send them electronically until they give us permission to do so. So we have to kind of do the electronic thing first. So we'll be asking them to repeat some things, unfortunately, but everybody around here is doing that too. So we'll just work with them in seminar on when we're ready for them to do that.
If a teacher already sent it, it will still be on there once
It will be. So teachers can already upload it and everything. That doesn't change. If they uploaded it, some of us worked on them over the summer, and so we were just able to upload it, and it'll stay there. It won't disappear. Right. If they haven't asked for a teacher recommendation yet, go on the website and find out. If you do have a school that requires teacher recommendations, first of all, some schools do not need them. They're not necessary, nor do they want them. If they say they don't want them. So that's okay. If you want us to just double check on some things, we'll be happy to do that. But just make sure that if you haven't already, you need to be sweet talking some teachers pretty quickly. So right now you can see a list of students on Naviance. Some schools, parents can click on this too with maps. You can see where our students are going. have been accepted, and you can actually kind of pull this down and see where they're actually attending. So, we've got students that have been applying to schools all over the state, and they're getting in. One of the things that, let me see. Oh, and here you go. You can see where they're attending now. So, again, still mostly southeast, but we still have a few that are on the west coast. And I think we may have, don't we have one that's still, we have 2 of them that are actually studying abroad in Europe. And then you can see our most popular one, our popular schools. Charlotte's, Appalachian State, North Carolina State, South Carolina, Chapel Hill are top 5 state schools. Okay. So, any questions so far?
So we're going to have a question and answer session on Wednesday, September 14th for parents to come, and you all don't need to do that probably, but for it's going to be for all grade levels. Where you can bring your computer, look at Naviance, kind of see what some things are. Those teacher recommendations have changed this year, so if you want to bring your computer in and look at that and see kind of where your student is in the process, you can see that. So that'll be Wednesday, September 14th at 8:30. And financial aid, which is changing this year. FAFSA will become available on October 1st. We're hearing different things from schools. Most schools are saying that this is not going to move up the timeline of when you may be getting your financial aid package information, but a good number of schools are still saying that you may find out your financial aid packages a little bit earlier. It's designed to give, ideally, it's designed to give families more time to consider your financial aid packages before you have to make that potentially a quick turnaround, a month or so, sometimes if you're applying regular decision, for which school you're going to be attending based on financial aid. What you can go ahead and do now is go to FAFSA.gov. Make sure you go to the .gov because the other sites are going to be scams. But if you go to FAFSA.gov, you can go ahead and get your FAFSA, I'm going to mess it up, is it FAFSA ID now? Is that what it's called? It used to be the FAFSA PIN. If you have older siblings, you had a FAFSA PIN, now it's called FAFSA ID. You can go ahead and get that now so that you're ready to go with your tax documents you'll be using for 2017. It's prior year. So you'll be using your 2015 tax documents, which is nice for most families. You'll just be able to use a tool that allows you to import your tax information straight from the IRS, and it'll just populate all of those fields, or a good number of those fields for you, so you're not in a rush after January to get your taxes done and fill out FAFSA as well. So it gives you a little bit more time to do all of that as well. Most all of your schools are, well, I think all of your schools are going to require FAFSA for financial aid. That's what they use to get that number. Some colleges will require the CSS profile as well. Largely that's private schools, Chapel Hill being one of the public schools that requires CSS profile. And that is available through the College Board website October 1st as well. So as your students are wrapping up their applications for October 15th, you can be working with them on FAFSA stuff as well. Students and parents have to get a FAFSA ID, so that's not a form that parents just need to do on their own. Students do need to have ownership of completing that FAFSA, but it will require a lot of parent help, and profile is a whole different beast that may require a certified accountant, I'm not sure. Scholarships, we do have a process for school nominated scholarships, the big ones, Moorhead, Kane, Hart, Levine, those we have a process for students.
Due Friday.
Yeah, those are due on Friday. So students who want to be considered for the school nominated scholarship, these are the big full ride scholarships to universities. They need to let us know so they can be considered. Some of those scholarships students may self-nominate for, but most of them require a school nomination
So if your student thinks they may be a strong candidate for these highly competitive scholarships, definitely by Friday let us know. Any questions about that? Yes?
Did you say by Friday let you know, or they're all due by Friday?
They need to have their application part in by Friday.
The school submission, they need to have the application for the nomination, not the application to the school, the actual application, but the application for us.
Yeah, ours is kind of an abbreviated. There's some information that they need to fill out, but it's not what's officially going to go to a school just yet. But they have some paperwork that they need to send us.
I have a FAFSA question.
Yes.
If you already have the FAFSA
Already came to
pin,
my call.
and from a previous child, do you have to get a new ID?
You'll need to get a FAFSA ID. Is that correct? Okay, yeah. You'll have to get a FAFSA ID. And you can go ahead and do that now. Yes?
I'm sorry, I have one more question. If you have an older child, is everyone switching to the new FAFSA system?
Yes.
Yes, that's a federal government thing that they're doing. So all parents, all students that have had a FAFSA PIN will need to get a FAFSA ID. And the FAFSA ID, just so you know, the parent address and the student email address will have to be different email addresses as well. So parents can't take care of this for your child and go in and use your email address to get both IDs. And I can say it'd be kind of nice. Yeah, it is like an electronic signature, and that's information that they should not be sharing with anyone. It's really not anything that needs to, we don't even really talk about that or do anything with that in class because it's really highly confidential information. Okay, financial aid workshop. We are going to be having a financial aid workshop earlier this year. This is something we normally host in February or January. We're moving it up. It's going to be October 18th. It's going to be at Davidson College instead of here. The reason being we have a consortium of several private schools and charter schools in the area who are going to be participating with CSD on that night. And we're going to have David has spoken to us before from Davidson College. He's going to be presenting and helping you navigate those financial aid questions. I think it'd be prudent to go ahead and try to do that FAFSA ahead of time and bring the questions that you have from trying to fill out those forms to that meeting and be ready to ask those questions that maybe stumped you while you were trying to do those or complete those forms.
And can I say, one of the biggest questions that we get is like, okay, we're not going to, I know I'm not going to qualify for financial aid. Do I really need to fill out the form? And this is just something that we've been kind of reading about a lot in the industry is we hear about all these situations where, God forbid, but parents get in an accident. Something happens to the parents. And child has a semester, has the rest of college and they're paying for, but the FAFSA wasn't complete. Or the family all of a sudden goes bankrupt. You just never know when there's emergency situations. And if you haven't completed that FAFSA, even if you didn't qualify, they don't have anything. They can't go back and help you with federal loans if you haven't completed that. And it also signals that, too, sometimes it signals the colleges, well, they don't really need, if they don't really need merit money, they haven't applied for financial aid. So, it just sends the message that you don't really need it. So, I would, strongly recommend completing it.
We used to hear it a little bit more. Families thought maybe not filling out FAFSA gave them a bump in admissions considerations. I haven't heard a college yet that says, we're going to give you a second glance and we're going to look at you more if you don't fill out FAFSA. They want you to fill out FAFSA. They want to have that information so that they can give you the money that's available if you qualify. It doesn't hurt to fill it out and find out you're not going to get a whole lot of money or that you might get more money than you anticipated. And I think the net price calculators on school websites are so key as well to get an idea for that. CCCT team, we're having a parent book talk January 10th There is Life After College. It's a great read. We've been reading it this summer, and so we're going to get together and discuss that with parents on January 10th at 7 o'clock. So if you want to grab that, if you're interested in the book and don't have a copy, you could ask one of us. I'd be happy to lend my copy out. I'm sure we all would if you would like to borrow that so that you can read that. And then, am I still going on this? I don't know how far I'm going. Okay, I usually do the testing piece, so I'm all confused tonight. Final decisions, watch for accepted student days. Wait and compare your financial aid offers before you make final decisions about colleges. Some schools will send those financial aid offers with your acceptance letter, and for some schools those offers will come later on. So wait until you have all of your offers and compare them before you make a decision. And then the deadline to send in your enrollment deposit is going to be May 1st, unless you've applied early decision somewhere. That's a different ballgame. But May 1st is National Decision Day, and so that's when you have as a parent, as a family, as students, you have until that May 1st deadline. That's your right to take that long to decide where you do want to attend. And then once you do decide where you'll be attending, you need to notify, I would do this beforehand, notify recommenders of your final decision and tell them thank you. Also let the other colleges where you applied know that you won't be attending their institution. That way they can take that space and give it to someone else who is on the waiting list. So as soon as you know you won't be attending a school, you'll let the other schools, or you'll let that school know. And then CSD will send final transcripts to your college after you graduate. The grades do still matter. We'll do that for the schools that are indicated in Naviance. That's how we know to send those transcripts. This time of year, as students are sometimes in that little flux where they're getting their schedule changes made and applying to college, I always tell students to be really careful. I prefer students not send in any applications until they have their schedules firmly set. But if you do make a schedule change after you have sent a college application in, you definitely need to let that school know that you've made a change to your schedule. That could be grounds for them to rescind an offer, particularly if you don't let them know of any changes when you do that. And then we celebrate. Well, I'm going to cry now. They shouldn't give them, one of the moms on the team, Anne-Marie, you've been through this, so it's all new to me. Graduation, June 1st, 2017, Belk Theater. My husband said it's cruel and unusual punishment that you talked about graduation announcements and caps and gowns tonight. But anyway, we celebrate on June 1st, so go ahead. I'm sure you have that marked in your day books and calendars already, but if not, that's the date. You can go ahead and let families know, and it will be at Belk Theater. If you haven't been, it's a beautiful venue, and it's a great evening, so we're excited. No tissues. Oh. Any questions? Yes?
Can we ask you to email to the student this presentation?
We will be putting this presentation on the school blog. Started to say website, but we're kind of going through some changes. So we'll have the presentation on the school, on the counseling blog for the college.
So we'll send that out.
Yes.
So are these FAFSA forms supposed to be submitted at the same time as the applications?
No. In fact, many students are sending in applications already now. And so you can send in your applications to colleges, and that's fine. And then when October 1st comes around, then you'll go to FAFSA.gov and fill out your FAFSA form. It's a federal form. What happens is you'll put your information in there. That information it's a federal agency, so it's going to go. You'll indicate what colleges you would like to receive your FAFSA information, and that information will then go to those schools. It used to be, if you have older siblings, it used to be that schools could potentially see that list of colleges that were receiving the information, and that's no longer true. They don't see what colleges are receiving that information. But I still tell students to alphabetize their schools, just in case something were to happen. You just want colleges to see an alphabetical list so they don't perceive preference when it may or may not be there.
And I don't think they'll be able
But
to
they don't
see
see it anymore.
Right,
Yeah.
that's great. A couple things about scholarships and a couple things about stress. I just wanted to put on the radar because students are already stressed right now for different reasons, for deadlines. But then you talk about stress, the stress that comes after they get their applications, after, well, I've done my part and now it's the waiting game. So just a couple of notes for what we need your help with as parents. When they get the materials in, their applications, they're going to get an email, a confirmation saying, thank you, I've received your application. Some schools will open up a portal so you can follow along to see what materials are missing. If the transcript's been received, if your test scores have been received, those kinds of things. Know that we work real hard to follow along with your timeline. In Naviance, I can see if you have an October 15th deadline and you've recorded it in Naviance like we've been asking you to do in seminar, and those deadlines are up to date, we will send the recommendations and the transcripts in by that deadline. So here's what happens on the other end. So because some students, when they send their application, they get an email right away saying, they get a confirmation. We get a confirmation because we see it's been time-stamped, but the students don't see that from the school. It could be a 2 to 3 week process before those documents are processed because they go to an IT department. The IT department has to upload them, then they have to match them up to the application. It's just a really intensive process. So the schools do allow us a 2 to 3 weeks. Chapel Hill even told us today, November the 1st. We don't expect those recommendations and transcripts in November 1st, but just know we work real hard to get them in by the October 15th deadline. Now, what some schools are going to be doing, however, so this is where I need your help. Some schools will do is, until they process it on their end. Let's say I sent the transcripts and recommendations today. Today's October 15th. You sent yours in today. We sent ours in today. So let's say November the 5th rolls, or let's say November 31st rolls around, and your students still getting emails saying, we still don't have your transcripts, we still don't have your recommendations. And the student starts to panic and thinks, well, they're missing, they're going to take, they're not going to be able to make a decision. I didn't meet the deadline. So it's still, what happens is their database is just sending out those automatic emails until they get it processed. So if the student comes home and really in a panic about it, just take a deep breath and say, just send in an email to your counselor, especially if it's been 2 weeks, send an email in to us. We'll be happy to call the school and say, a lot of times we get them app state on the phone and we'll just get hold of our rep and we'll say, well, it's been a couple of weeks, can you just kind of process it for us on the spot? So sometimes they'll do that on the spot and then it'll happen, especially if it's been 2 or 3 weeks. They don't like to stress out students any more than we do. So just know that they've been sent. It just takes a couple of weeks. We met with Chapel Hill today. They said they're going to be starting in January. They're going to be sending out weekly email, or not January, but earlier than that. They're going to be sending out weekly emails if things are missing. So it's really important as a senior to start checking that email on a regular basis, on a daily basis for those updates. Because they're going to send 6 emails out a week. And then they're going to withdraw your application if there's things missing. So again, it's as long as you're checking your emails and then you touch base with us and we tell students we love follow up, but we just don't want you to panic and stress about it. But we do love follow up. So that's one thing. The second thing is we need your help with scholarships. Last year, our students did an amazing job, and this is just what we know about. Like 30-some% of the students turned in a copy of their scholarships. And our students had like $4.2 million in scholarships. That was merit-based, not need-based. It was amazing.
So what that allows us to do when students turn that into us is we can help guide, siblings, the families that come behind you guys, and we can help guide. These are the schools that are giving money to students that fit this profile. So we can do a better job of providing those services if you can remind your students, you get an email, forward that email to Ms. Smith or Ms. Emery, so we can keep track of that and we can better serve families by getting that information. So that'll start happening. I know we got our first email today of a scholarship, so that'll happen. We'll be reminding you guys in seminar to do that. The parents, if you guys could help us with that as well.
And that
So
doesn't
all
have
good
to be
stuff.
to a school you're attending, that can be any school where you're
Yes.
receiving.
A private scholarship, it could be, doesn't have to be, it could just be any offers that you get. If you just send us that helps us a bit. And any other questions before we leave you with just a good night? Okay. Just a little bit of inspiration.